He's gonna be really challenged tonight.
I'm gonna be very
hands.
I can't.
Like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
So, I mean, if you're asking me, a professional that has zero professionalism, no.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We are humans. Let's repeat that.
Every 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Was the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
We're already in this now, so.
We're already in it.
All right.
Here we are.
So, episode 26, guys.
I thought it was
26.
the 100th episode.
No, we have now made it just over a full year.
I'm pretty sure somebody told me this is the 100th episode, which is why we're doing this now, live together.
No,
Yeah, I'm almost positive that that's what Tyler told me.
not at all. Not at all. So,
To the 100th episode.
So our topics for tonight, we're going to go with weather modification, no longer conspiracy, now it's our obligation.
Uh-oh.
Why we should help Israel.
I don't like that.
Subtopic of, is the government of Israel actually the ones we're supposed to be helping, or is it something else? And then third top, we got a swing and a miss. Diddy slipped away. Epstein client list is on my desk. Wait, there is no client list.
There's no client list.
So, this all come about. So we're going to go back to the first one. The weather modification talk all came about. It was here a few weeks back when Texas had some big floods.
Yeah.
And some things happened.
Like death.
Yes, sadly, yes. But with that came a statement from Augusto Dorico saying it is the Christian obligation to control these things if we have the option to reduce famine, reduce drought, and those kinds of things.
False.
As taking dominion over the earth based on the scripture. That is an issue. Genesis 1. It does say, and God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and of the cattle, and over all the earth, and every other creepeth thing that creepeth upon the earth.
That does not include the clouds, because clouds do not creep.
Right, but it says on
Fog?
all. It
Fog
does
creeps?
state all things.
Do what?
Fog creeps.
Over all the earth,
You're,
Alex.
you're fired.
And fog's clouds.
Yeah, the earth. We're talking about the firmament above the earth. So let me break this down to you, because I know this science is difficult.
Clouds are not in the firmament.
Firmament is sky
Space.
above us, which would be the first heaven, which is the clouds, right? That's the first heaven. The second heaven is what Jellyman just
You're in an
said.
airplane, so you're in heaven.
Yes, it is considered the heavens. So that's why there's an S on the end of heaven, because you have the first heaven, which is what you can see with your eyes, which is ground to sky, right? Clouds in the sky. So that's heaven number 1. Second heaven is the space or the expanse above the firmament, which would be the moon and stars area.
Where does the seventh heaven come into play?
Watch your mouth. I don't know. See what was that channel it was on?
CW.
CW. Yeah, that's where the seventh heaven.
Right after Smallville.
So
Somebody save me. Okay.
anyway, so you have the first heaven, which is that small little bit. The second heaven is the stars, sun, moon, and the where the planets live, and the aliens, and then you have the third heaven, which is a spiritual realm that you have to get to, going in a spiritual way to get there. This is in the way.
He's gonna be really challenged tonight.
I'm gonna be very
hands.
I
He's
can't.
like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
So, I mean, if you're asking me, a professional that has zero professionalism, no, keep him over there. No, I would say that you have the first heaven, the second heaven being space, and then the third heaven being the actual spiritual realm that the Creator is inside of, is in that other reality or the other realm. So, as far as controlling weather, I think this is a personal opinion. I could be wrong. Okay, so I can be corrected here, but it's likely that I'm not wrong.
So
Because I don't think that God created the sky to be manipulated by man. Not only that, and I actually have a legitimate theory that I will talk after you three give your expertise on what you think weather modification is, because of the dealings with frequencies that I have with work. So
yeah, I mean,
except for don't give Tyler any time here.
easy.
Sorry.
So the
I'll
thing
fold this table.
I wish
So,
you would.
to
Bring it up.
combat your argument about the heavens, though, if you go down to verse 28 and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air.
Yeah, that's the fowl of the air because
Right,
they have
which
to
is in the
land
air.
on the earth.
They're in the air.
I'm playing the devil's advocate,
Earth.
Leo, not you, me.
On Earth. In the air. Just like the clouds.
If you can prove it, I'm in. I'm in. I agree with you. I mean, I would say that you have a standing argument. I don't like it, but it's a standing argument.
It's one of those things
Because-
just because you can doesn't mean you should.
What I would say the argument is because it says the fowl of the air, right? And so you have the of the and then air, which notates our argumentation. But my argument is better because it's mine. No, but if I'll say this much, I think that because Paul talks about the three heavens, right? He's caught up into the third heaven, which means he's having a spiritual episode where he's going to a place that is not of this world, but he surpasses heaven 1, which is sky, heaven 2, which is, stars and moon, and then he goes into that spiritual heaven and that third realm. However, that's notating that he's not actually talking about literal levels in the actual spiritual heaven.
Yeah.
But there's not there's no like, hey, this is what I'm talking about. It's not what is the word I'm looking for? Literal. So it's open to interpretation.
Are you saying figuratively?
Well, no. What I'm saying is like, is he talking about 3 levels in the spiritual heaven where you walk into the pearly gates and there's level 1, 2, 3, and God's at that highest third level? Or is he talking about what I'm saying as far as you have sky, then you have star and moon sky, and then you have spiritual heaven above that? That's, if he's talking about one, then I'm right. If he's talking about the other, then I'm wrong, right? And so that I think is based on interpretation, and I don't know that the scripture is clear on the differentiation of those two. If you would agree with that.
One could make an argument in saying that if we were supposed to have dominance over certain things like the weather, we would have better results.
Yeah.
Because, I mean...
That's the other argument I was going to make. You're getting ahead of me.
Good.
So if you can get a little bit more into that microphone, though, that would be
Yeah,
great.
I think you need
Fantastic.
to get the microphone in your mouth.
So,
Just suck on that thing.
just a little. There you go. Perfect.
How's that?
A little too close.
Too much beard, less beard.
All right. Perfect.
You're welcome.
No, that's. I guess that is a good point. But I mean, if you take that and put that to the side, though, because that's obviously not how everybody's interpreting it.
Sure. Well, they have the right to be wrong.
Yeah. So
I'm just playing.
it's not how everybody's seeing it. I mean, I don't remember reading this parts about the 3 different heavens, but I'm not as well versed as I should be in the Bible.
Well, it's not even so much as being well versed. It's that he makes that. Hello.
All right, you know what now.
He makes that distinction, but it's not a hey, I'm going to sit here and dwell in that. I think what he was trying to get at is, I've had a vision of heaven. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so, but we take things like that. Like, for instance, Genesis 6, right? We take Genesis 6. It's a fleeting conversation in the moment. And it's meant for that deeper study. It's meant for the deeper study. And so he makes that flight of a comment. So it's a short thing. I was taken up into the third heaven. But there's no, like, when you're breaking that down, you almost really need to go into the Greek and the Aramaic to figure out, okay, Paul, what are you actually talking about?
Yeah.
And then there's also I've got to go like 40 verses before and 40 verses after to figure out why are we talking about this? You know what I mean? And then to argue the Genesis point is to argue what lens are you looking at Genesis through? Because on one level, you're looking at Genesis as, obviously, this is the creation of our world, and this is how it began. But you had the argument of, I'm going to argue that the Bible is not a history book. So, and I don't believe that it's a history book. So my argument is, okay, sure, there is history in the book, just as much as other things are in the book, and those are true statements. However, why is he bringing up the firmament and then having dominion over these things? I think that he would be considering having dominion over these things because as you move through, from a theological standpoint, as you move through Scripture, you look at it from one lens, and then as you continue in your journey of faith, the deeper you go, the more you understand. But it's Jewish literature is to be read as a meditation. It's not to be read as a Harry Potter book where you sit down, you read the entire book in one setting, and then you're like, oh, I understand all the dichotomies of this book. It's not created that way. The Bible is created it's a journey alongside your life that you walk with. And so the comment of they walked in the cool of the day with the voice of God is kind of like I don't know if an idiom would be the correct word, but it's a play on words right there, because you are literally supposed to walk alongside the Word in his special place or in that secret place with the Most High, so that way he can talk to you and have a conversation with you. That was the whole point of the garden, right?
Yeah.
And so if you look at it from that deeper theological level, on the surface, yeah, you can make in my opinion, on the surface, we can make the argument, sure, the Bible said that we can have dominion over the fowl of the air, and that would include the sky.
Yeah.
But when I throw in the idea of radio frequencies, I think it debunks that entire argument. Now, I could be wrong, and I'll stand corrected if somebody wants to correct me on that. And I would love to have a deeper conversation with it. I would need to study before I had that conversation, because I'm not there yet, right?
Yeah.
But so your first reading of Genesis 1 or Genesis 2 is he made male and female in the garden, and then at the end of Genesis 2 it says, what man put together, or what God put together, let no man put asunder. Moses is the one that adds that. It's not necessarily a God addition, although God accepts that, because sometimes, as Paul says, not God but I, in his writing about marriages. So sometimes God honors a man and allows the word of that man to be solidified in his story, right? Because he doesn't just do things on his own. He partners with men. And so that's why Moses is able to consult God on the mountain, because I know this is a long answer, so I'm sorry, but Moses is able to consult God on the mountain. And it's like, okay, the big overarching question of that is, who the heck are you to tell God, hey, by the way, this is a bad idea to kill all these people, because You literally just brought them out of Egypt. You had this huge display of the 10 plagues. We crossed this huge Red Sea. There's an expansive story here for the Exodus, the beginning of Exodus. And then we get 50 days later to this mountain, and there's this golden calf story, and God's like, you know what? I don't know, Mo. We could probably start over with you. And Moses is like, no. If you're going to start over with everybody, then kill me also. Like, who consults the Most High God? As if God didn't know what was happening here, right?
Yeah.
But God decides to partner with man. So I guess there's a two-part answer there. Could God partner with man to help the weather do something different? Probably. But when I think about radio frequencies again, I think there's a different thing there, because if I can, I'll argue radio frequencies. You don't always know and this is to what Leo said earlier. We don't. I don't know if it was Leo or Tyler, but whoever said it, if we were meant to do that, it would work, because there's the 2 parts man, 1 part God, right? Like, so if what we do is a God thing, then you have an Esther story, right? Yeah. Esther goes in, she doesn't know if she's going to be accepted by the king, and so she's praying the night before, and there's 3 banquets, and then on the 3rd banquet, everything just kind of lines up. But that's because there's people in the background that have no name that are like, hey, king, what about this? Yeah. You know what I mean? That's like the God move in the story. His name is not there, but like or Joseph, for instance. Like, who would have thunk that Joseph would have ended up with these Midianite traders, and then goes down to Egypt, becomes a slave. That whole thing with Potiphar's wife happens. Then he gets thrown in prison, and it looks like that's the dead end of the story, right? Yeah. But then Joseph does so well in the prison, and it just so happens that God puts the cupbearer and the bread maker in the same prison with him. That's a God move, that's not a man move. So if God hadn't put those 2 guys in there, I know I'm going pretty deep, so I apologize. Right. But if God hadn't put those 2 guys in that same thing with Joseph, right? Joseph never has this conversation, and Joseph stays in the cell. However, those 2 guys do end up there. Joseph interprets the dream correctly, and then he gets before Pharaoh. And then when Pharaoh asks, what was my dream? He's immediately able to interpret another God thing. And then God says, you know what? We'll put you second in command. Yeah. That was pretty good. So going back to, I feel like I've drifted quite a bit.
This is what we do.
Swim back.
So going back, if it's a 2-part man thing, like, I'm going to shoot radio frequencies at the clouds, and then God's going to do his God thing, and the clouds are going to, be nice to humanity, then cool. But I don't think that's happening. What I think is weather is actually getting much worse. And part of that is because I think that's end of age stuff. You know what I mean? Like, calamitous weather, what did it say? Flooding. That's a biblical thing. Storms is a biblical thing. Earthquakes is a biblical thing. Those are things that man cannot. I mean, like, obviously.
Maybe God's allowing people to do this to fulfill what
God
already wants to happen.
Very true. Very true. And okay, so there's an argument. That's a great argument. Yeah. Different. So is it the partnership? Is the question that I'm at? That's essentially what I'm asking is. Right. Can we scripturally prove this as a partnership? If that's the case, then yeah. But I mean, we are using like seismographic things to like hit the earth and like make shockwaves to create earthquakes. So we know we've done that. We know that first of all, for our viewers, weather modification is not a conspiracy. It's out in the open. Like, it's all over Twitter. It's all over other places that I'm not on.
It's in the air.
Yes. So his laugh just anyway. So that is, in my mind, it's not a conspiracy. The question is it a God and man project, and is it working? And does that prove that it's a God and man project? Because in my estimation, when we look at God-man projects in the scripture and we mirror that to other God-man projects, if you are working with the Lord and these other God-man projects in the scripture work, like Joseph and God, Esther and God, and Mordecai, and Daniel and God in the lion's den, right? Daniel has zero control over lions. So he goes in there hoping, okay, God, you're going to shut the mouth of the lion. If not, Daniel is a filet mignon in the lions. Like he's just another casualty. The 3 Hebrew boys and the fire furnace. So
Noah and the ark.
Noah, exactly. Noah, and God even shuts Noah's door for him. The question is, all these things reveal a positive outcome. But what's the weather guy's name that said that? Augusto in God? I don't know. Because, like, okay, so Augusto in God, now you have Texas flood. What's the point of the Texas flood? Is it a bad thing or is it a good thing? Because, I mean, you could also look at that as could it be a positive? Obviously, we want to be careful there. But
you also have was what he was doing a direct contributing factor to those floods?
Right, yeah.
Because what he said, where he said he was, and where he said he was doing those things on top of the results that he says he puts forward is usually within like a 15-minute to 2-hour window afterwards. And this flood happened 2 days later.
Sure.
So was it part of that? Also, is there somebody else doing it that's not telling us? Because for every person who tells us is doing it, how many people aren't telling us?
I would argue that this guy might be one that wants to partner with God to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But I think if he can do it, there's obviously going to be somebody who's doing it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
And that's like, the argument I think was made, what was this last year when those hurricanes went through the Appalachian Mountains? Is that how you say it? The Appalachia? Yep. Whatever. Anyway, somebody correct me. On that instance, those people were not ready for the hurricane, and that was very devastating. But then there was, the whole government thing, like, we could help you, but we probably won't. So, problem, right? I would argue that I think there's definitely people out there that are doing the wrong thing with it. I don't know. That's a good question.
Also, I mean, you also look into. I don't know if you guys look into it or not, but there was an interview that Augusto did with Sean Ryan. It's a very lengthy interview. It's like 3.5, 4 hours long.
Yeah, I don't have that time.
But in that interview, he got to the point where he says China has college courses in weather modification.
Wow.
They're selling technology to other countries to help them with their weather modification projects. As of right now, we as the United States are not allowed to use weather modification as an act of war after Vietnam, because we did do that in Vietnam.
Sure.
We extended the monsoon season, caused a bunch of issues over there in Vietnam. But China doesn't always abide by the same rules we do.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously a different government, so.
Could that be, like I said, could it be a foreign country doing things over here?
Yeah.
China.
Well, okay, so, yeah, I hear that too. It's strange. Somebody's getting a phone call somewhere.
It's my grandpa.
Tell him to stop calling, Grampy. We are live. No, so this is my last part of the argument, is that when you locate underground, you're shooting frequencies underground. And so I have a 400 and an 800 hertz utility GPR. And the 400 I think is the high frequency, the 800 is the low. And so depending on how deep that GPR can see would depend on what I actually can pick up and what I can't. And so that also is affected by other things, but I don't think I know this for a fact, we don't know the exhaust of what GPR actually can see, but we know that the data that we're getting is interpreted solely by us. So, yeah, you're gone.
Gone?
No, you're back.
It's that noise gate. I've really got to get into it hard to make it come on.
So, based on what I can see is the data that I can give to interpret what's there. Alongside, if somebody says, hey, we think there's this here, can you check to see? And then if I can't see it, then I can't give a yes or no answer, right? And so what I'm saying, it's just like a transistor radio or the witching rod. Like the witching rod, you can find all kinds of things with,
Like
if you know how to use them correctly. However, you can also use a dowsing rod to talk to spirits. and people are doing this all the time. They're even trying to talk to Jesus with dowel rods. Have you seen those
I've not
TikToks?
seen those. No.
They're kind of weird. But anyway, so you hold the dowel rod. I thought about bringing one because I slightly looked at the weather thing. That was like the one thing that I really wanted to talk about. Clearly. But anyway, if you grab the dowel rod and I'm standing outside, I can actually tell it to turn and it'll turn. And I can think for it to turn and it'll turn.
Really?
Regardless of what anybody in the room thinks, and feels, because you could argue, oh, he's turning it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
By switching of the hand. But if I stand and I've done this to people like that I've worked with. I was at a job one day and I asked this, he was like my age, this guy. I was like, have you ever seen anybody witch? And he was like, no. And I was like, do you want to try it? And he goes, yeah. And so I was like, it's kind of freaky and weird and I don't really like using it very much, but like occasionally we'll have a customer that asks. And so obviously as a company, like it's a no, but when a customer asks, then okay, we'll pull it out. So I have the rod and I told him, I was like, I had two in my hands. And I said, okay, so I'm going to tell you what I'm going to say, and then I'm going to think it, and it's going to do what I think and what I say. So then I said, turn the rods or cross the rods, and they crossed in an X. And then I said, rod straight out, and they both went straight out. Then I thought, cross the rods, and they crossed, and then I thought, rod straight out. And then I told him exactly what I thought. And then, like proving, hey, essentially, I can move these using just my thoughts, right? Which is weird.
Yeah.
But
Like the Force.
right. The problem with the witching rods, oh my gosh. the problem with the witching rods is, and this is why this isn't a proven locate method in the locate industry, because you don't know what you've got until you actually expose it. Same thing with GPR, same thing with the EM wand. However, what we do know is by hooking up a frequency and toning it on a copper line, we can find that. And so then we can paint it out and we can say definitively, hey, according to previous maps we have, according to previous knowledge, there's something there. And so we're going to paint that. And then the GPR can also show us more of a concrete image. But the dowsing rods or the witching rods, you don't know.
Right.
So at that point, it's a guess. And if you're good at it, you know what you're doing, then you're good. But most of the time, people don't know what they're doing with them, and it's kind of more of a dangerous thing than anything, which is why utility companies are kind of pushing away from that. Now, some are okay with it, and like water municipalities, like there's only one way to find some water, so it's usually that. And these guys are actually trained on how to use them pretty well.
You're just talking about there's metal rods, kind of L-shaped,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now, I mean, in my own backyard, I've played with some of those.
Yeah.
We used to have a pond over there. You can literally just hold them in your hand. You'd walk over it, and when you walked toward the closer you got to the pond, the more they would just
Sure.
like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it works.
Absolutely.
I don't know how well it works for underground utilities.
It works perfect.
But for actual physical water you can see above ground, I've seen that work, and it's crazy to think that just literally just two rods going out when they get to water.
Yeah. So I'll tell you my experience with them. So when I started at the company that I'm at, I'm not going to say their name because I don't want to get in trouble, but obviously, if you watch the podcast, you kind of know where I work, but whatever. Yep. So
he works in a van down by the river.
Yes, with Matt Foley. No, so okay, my experience is this. Before I started at the company, what I used was the end of the flag, like the flags that we throw. I just tore the flag off, bent it, and used that, and that's what I used. Yeah. I've used that many a time. Works good, I have found the edges of septic tanks with them. I have found the edges of trenches with them. I have found power, gas, water, sewer lines, storm lines. So I found like every kind of utility you can think of with witching rods. The accuracy, what I can say is I've located for almost 7 years and I have 3 damages on the damages that are my fault. Yeah. So obviously that number is a little bit higher, but it's not much higher. It's probably like 10. But like 3 of those are at fault, which means that I was wrong, and the company I work for had to pay for those. 3 out of almost 7 years is like really, really great. That's like 0.1% of located and that I've failed on. Yeah. So, and I've used witching rods a lot since I've started doing private locating. I have had 0 damages, and I've been doing this for almost 3 years. So when I started at this company, I bought Amazon. You can buy like copper rods that are sitting in like wooden handles, so the way it's harder to turn and you get a little bit more accurate locate. So when I first got them, I thought I would be really bright, and I've only done this one time, and I confessed this to the rabbi, and I told Jerome about this too because I was kind of freaked out by it. But I'm standing in the driveway out here, and I'm like, I want to see how well these work. And so I walked out. I know there's like some fiber optics and phone lines running in front of the house. So I went out there and they turned. I've done this many a time, so I know what I'm up to. So turn. Okay, we're good. They're working. And then I got really bold. I had this weird, like, crazy thought, and I thought, because when you open the package, it kind of gives you a brief history of like what witching rods are. Witching rods are typically used for locating water or wells, which this is a real profession. They actually use these to find underground wells.
Yeah.
And it's like $5,000 for one underground well to be found with some old witching rods. And typically they'll use the ends of like willow branches or something. Like $5,000. Yeah, it's insane. I would never pay that much to get a well. But I mean, if you're good, you're good. Like, you're going to pay for it. So that's not the narrative for the utility industry. Is we don't do witching rods. But I say, if you're good at witching, then they'll pay you what you're worth, right? Anyway, so I'm standing in the driveway and I'm coming back towards the house, and I stop, and I just had this feeling like my brother was with me. And so I was like, okay, if you're here, turn the rod. And the rod started to turn. And I was like, okay. And I was like, if it's really you, straighten the rod all the way out. And it went, and I was like, okay, this is not cool. So then I asked the question, are you actually my brother? Cross the rods. They crossed. And I'm like, okay. And then I was like, are you actually lying? Put the rod straight out. Rod straight out. And I go, are you a spirit of some kind? And then the rods crossed again, or did whatever I told them to. And so whatever it was, like I got spooked, obviously. This is the only time I've done this, I promise. And I said, okay, I rebuke whatever spirit this is in Jesus' name. And I'm not going to do this anymore. But to prove that worked, if you're still here, cross the rods. And they did not cross. Very weird.
Yes.
Very weird. And so after that, I was like, I'm never doing that again. And it was very, very strange. But I often, and then like my argument to the guy that I was showing the one time that I was showing that guy how they work and doing the mind thing. I told him, I was like, I don't know what does this. I mean, my dad says it's like a natural electricity that runs through your body. I've had other people say the same thing. Those two people didn't talk. So obviously like it's probably something. But I told the guy, I was like, if it's not natural electricity running through my body and hitting whatever's underneath of me and then coming back and turning the rods, I don't know what ghost is following me around to show me utilities, but I'm really glad that it's there because my damage rate's really low, and that's good for me.
Yes.
So, but anyway, back to frequencies. I think it would be very difficult to manipulate weather by frequency because of the fact that those frequencies you don't know. And the same thing when you're talking to spirits and the rods are turning, you don't know what spirit's out there. You don't know what you're getting on. And a lot of times when you first hook up to a utility, your gain is way open and you're picking up all kinds of frequencies out there. Like some rocks carry frequencies better than others. There's materials underground. Usually metal pipes always have some type of frequency on them because there's always radio waves running through the air. And so the old transistor radio, you would turn it and it would pick up a different frequency. And my understanding, this is just mine, you don't know what kind of frequency you're getting into when you're shooting things into the sky. And it could be that something good might come of it, but something bad also might come of it. And that's why I think it's probably not the best thing to be shooting radio frequencies or, any other type of thing into the sky to see. I think, is it, maybe it's not radio frequencies. If it's not, then whatever. But
I mean, what they're doing, what Augusta's doing is not radio frequencies, but that's not to say there's not some type of other technology is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that claim our national radar system is creating frequencies into the air that's doing those kinds of things. Yeah. He's doing it with a chemical compound. I cannot remember what it is.
Solar
Silver iodine or something.
Something of that nature, yes.
Silver
But it's
something.
a really small particle, and it acts like ice in the air.
Mhm.
And so it makes when it goes in there, it kind of goes through the cloud. The moisture freezes to it, creates a snowflake, and it falls. And that snowflake remelts as it comes back down. He does say that he has a lot better success rate in colder climates with snow than he does in warmer climates with rain.
So somebody's going to comment and say, dude, you know a lot about radio frequencies. You know nothing about weather modification.
Well, there's that whole other side of it where people believe that all the radar systems, the whole NextRad system,
Yeah.
is putting out frequencies and doing them. So you have that whole option.
Yeah, well, I argue, I mean, because like I know this because of my job, but like if the closer you get to power plants, the more frequencies you have. The closer you get to like radioactive plants, the more frequencies you have. And the stronger, not the more frequency, but the stronger those frequencies become. So oftentimes, like I have seen guys working GPR that will leave their cell phone, turn it off and leave it in the vehicle because your cell phone emits a particular frequency through the air too.
Yeah.
So that could hinder the data that you're getting, especially if you're like looking for bodies on a a compound or whatever. Like, hey, we know there's a graveyard here. We're looking for these, so we want to map out the edges of this body, right?
Right.
And so that can affect what you're seeing with GPR, especially if you're using higher, more particular frequencies to find particular things.
Yeah.
But GPR has been, at least to my knowledge, it's also been used not to just find like dead bodies and things, but also to find disease in tree roots, which is kind of mind blowing. I mean, we can see tree roots often, but like, I don't know how in the world they do that. You know what I mean? But there's so much more. I think there's so much more to be known about GPR, and the further we get into how to use it, how it's ran, and how to interpret the data, I think the better off things are going to become.
Right.
And then, of course, like every utility company is out there mapping at this point. Like anytime somebody shows up, they're typically mapping whatever they are locating most of the time, unless they're 811, and then they may not show up at all.
Yeah. So I mean, we're gonna go move away from, unless somebody else has something they want to talk about.
I'm sorry.
Modification. You have also the other side of this, where like, if you think of our country now versus where it was 200 years ago, you take our south, all the our borders on the south where we meet the water,
Sure.
our borders on the west coast where we meet the water.
Yeah.
How much more concrete we've added to those areas from where we were before.
Sure.
This is more along the lines of where we're going to skew into climate change and because that's the other side of this, is that people are saying that he's causing climate change. But how much is that concrete affecting how drastic things are changing? Because it used to be the weather would come off the ocean over the land. It was this lush green land that could absorb all the moisture. Mm-hmm. But now you have this concrete that's radiating heat back into the clouds and causing bigger issues for us.
Yeah.
And how much is that? What's actually happening more now, where we didn't know what we were doing by adding all this concrete? And I'm not saying we need to tear all our cities down, but we need to understand the ramifications of what we've been doing this whole time. Has anybody even thought about studying that? I think that would go a long way into when they say our temperatures are rising, where are they measuring those temperatures? Are they measuring them in cities where they have the highest percentage of concrete and asphalt and those types of things that put the heat back off into the air? And you continue to add tons and tons and tons and billions of tons of concrete to these areas, and it just keeps pushing the temperature up.
And I still want to know how they measured the temperature 200 years ago.
Right. That's another thing. Down to the 10th of a degree.
Well, so that's a great question. I think that probably some old guy wrote it down. Like today it was 99 degrees.
Old MacDonald.
I've not seen one of those old mercury thermometers from back then. I don't know how accurate they marked them.
Yeah.
So the neat thing, I don't know if this has anything to do with it either, but the Hubble Space Telescope can see like years into the past, based on how the planet's spinning and the rotation of the stars. They are able to actually look backwards in time because they were looking for the star of Bethlehem and which star that it actually was. Some people would argue that Halley's Comet is the star. This is just theories I've heard. I don't know if it's true, but some people have argued, it's Halley's Comet, while other people have argued it's the North Star. Other people have argued it's, whatever other comet. But the star was significant to that time.
Yeah.
But Hubble can actually go back in time to see, and I'm guessing they're basing it off of what they've been able to see so far. However, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because you can't time travel.
No.
Or can
Probably
you?
just able to like computer generate what would have been happening.
I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot of that too.
A lot of the stars you see in the sky now are already dead. They're just the light that's
Right.
traveling. So if they have
Yeah.
if the telescope can go back so many years, then it could just using math and insightful
Mhm.
equations, they could probably pinpoint where the light originated from where it's coming into us.
Sure.
So
Well,
they can see where it was
yeah,
in the galaxy.
Yeah, and there's a lot of equations. I'm not a math guy, so I have no clue. But there's a lot of equations going into that, and I think it's super cool to be able to go backwards in time to see. And you're probably right; they probably do pinpoint where the star actually is in time, and then how long it takes for light to hit the Earth and where it actually started versus where it would have been seen from the planet. You know what I mean? So then, is there a point where there's a bright star in Bethlehem that people can actually see? And then they're like, okay, maybe it seemed like it stood on top of, and of course, there's always like the spiritual aspect too. Like if
Right.
there was a star, sure,
I mean,
it was an angel.
yeah,
or
could have been
something.
an angel, could have been anything
Could
that
have been
God wanted it
aliens.
to be at that point in time.
Yeah, I'm not liking that theory.
I like that theory.
I'm just kidding. Jerome and I had a super in-depth alien conversation some
sure.
time ago. It was after I listened to the Fuzzy Monster podcast,
Oh.
where they talked about aliens, and there's people have some weird theories about aliens.
Really?
Absolutely.
I know they do.
They've categorized what I know. This isn't in our
Let's-
notes, so I apologize. But
Well, let's save that for something down in the future because this is going to run long as it is, I believe. So
okay. No, I'll be
Troy's got 2 hours to get home.
Well, my wife wants to come home now. She's texting me saying,
Yeah.
I have the dog. I want to come home. I'm like, too bad.
Have her walk in on this.
Yeah.
Well-
All of this.
all of this.
She's not going to be happy.
Tell her to come in the other door, though.
Yeah, no, I told her to come into. Well, she won't knock anything over.
She
comes in that
won't.
She's not going to come in that door. She's going to come in this door anyway because she's going to go into the garage.
Okay.
So, okay, my bad. Let's continue. What's your next thing?
So let's move on to there's a lot of talk right now around helping Israel. And then I've heard other people talk about not only about helping Israel, is the current government of Israel the ones that they're referring to in the Bible about who we should be helping? Because
I've heard.
there's people that say that Israel now, people who claim to be Israel, aren't actually Israel.
Correct.
But at the same time, they are.
Correct.
And where do we help? Where do we stop our help? Because we are told, I don't know if necessarily we're commanded to help Israel, but we're told those who help will be blessed. Those who don't, who are cursed, will be cursed. And you just back completely out of the view of the camera.
Oh, no, I didn't. I'm right here.
Now that you're leaning forward, you can see you.
Nah, I'm good. We're good. I just want him to see the Bigfoot shirt. That's all I came for. Okay, I'm going to let you guys answer the thing first, and then I'll give my response because it's going to be long for that.
Oh, geez.
So you're on the hot seat.
Well, I mean, I don't think that the government is what we should be helping. Israel is not quite there, because you're dealing with politics in that certain I'm going to say regime, but it's whatever the climate is there. You're dealing with that, and that's not, I don't believe, quite right. I mean, you can make an argument that all the kings of Israel in the biblical times weren't quite right. In fact, you do know that because there were prophets yelling and pointing fingers at the different kings and things. So, but I would say and go to the extent that it's not really the government, but it's the people, it's the culture that you are to be more respectful of. And I feel like, and I know you're going to get into it, but I feel like
You're the scholar, not me.
no, I'm not no scholar.
Oh man, you're
But
such a scholar.
I feel like the interpretation of the scripture has been a little bit swayed, a little more so in a lot of our conservative belts about
Swayed in which way?
how that we should be always like this. That if it's Israel, it's hands down. You got to
I got you.
be there for.
So like a more conservative sway.
Yeah, but I'm thinking also that America, that's our ally.
Sure.
So no one else is going to back Israel up. That's basically the only reason why they're still standing and not being completely demolished, because you have literally almost the entire Middle East around them having beef with them in one way, fashion or another.
Yeah.
Like they all have something. And you go back in the history books, you got Egypt that has issues with them. You have, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, Palestine. I mean, all the people in that area.
I heard.
Yeah, all those tribes, those individuals, they all have reason to be like, I want to squash you like a bug.
Sure.
So to rally it back to the point is I do believe that the we should be, as Christians. Let me preface it, as Christians, we should pray for the country of Israel and the people of Israel, but let's not be too what's the word? I don't know, obedient to the fact that it's Israel when it's the politics of Israel, because that's not always right.
I would agree with that. Very much so. Good. Well said. Very well said. Give them a snap, snap, clap, clap.
Well, since I don't trust their own government, I don't really trust Israel's government either.
You need to look at your microphone, though. That's the thing.
Why wouldn't you trust our government? I mean, what have they done
Give us
wrong?
some time. We'll get there.
I don't really
We have
trust
two topics for
any
next time.
government at this point. So, I mean, I believe we should help their people, but yeah, as the government, I don't think we should be helping like their government in any way, because government's government.
Sure. Fair point. I like it. Fair point.
I mean, it really is a hard place to be in because what their government does directly affects the people within the borders.
Absolutely.
So if we don't help the government at some points, a lot of the Jewish people will suffer.
Yeah.
And this goes back to, where do you draw the line on how much we intervene?
Sure.
God's protecting hand is supposed to be with them, but at one point in time, are we intervening too much?
Right.
That's
well,
good, yeah.
you can look at it in two different ways. So, looking at where do we draw the line? Helping the people versus helping the government. I think one wise decision is to kind of like what we just did with Iran and trying to stop their nuclear advancements. Stop them giving all these proxies. Stop all the terrorists and things that are getting weapons. Let's make it harder for them to get weapons.
Because we're selling them weapons as well.
We're giving the enemies who are killing the people in Israelites.
Israel people.
Yeah, I know. We're giving their enemies weapons because inadvertently helping other countries, other nations get militarized. Then they are taking our product and our money and helping proxies for people they don't like, to help fight that. So for that part, I feel like is the most wisest decision in all my grammar, the best grammar that I could muster. Now, the second thing is we know, again, from a biblical standpoint, that Israel has been conquered,
millions of times.
Several times. I mean,
I don't know about millions, but yeah.
There's historical evidence, even in other recorded facets of history for different cultures. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is Babylon that took over. And it's, you can see it, it's like, well, you did, God told, the prophet said, well, you guys did this wrong. You did something wrong. You were supposed to do this. So now you get to either, you're going to be taken over or you're going to die,
Sure.
Good
point.
So it's one of those things, like, even so, if God's protecting hand, even though it has protecting hand, and then here's your someone's wife is coming to the door.
Oh,
I don't know whose.
She went to that door.
That may be mine.
I think that's yours.
I can't get up, Alex. You're going to have to go there.
Okay, hang on.
Make sure you tip the pizza
Someone's
guy.
coming to the door.
Why'd she go to that door?
I don't know. Probably wants the keys to the car. Or wants to take the car.
She has the car.
Well, not my car. If it's not mine.
Oh, this is not mine. This is yours.
There's 3 of them here. Oh. Are you? Yep.
Just edit this out.
Where it's,
What? Live one?
we're
online
live, dude.
right now.
You can't edit any of this out.
Never mind.
Womp womp.
Huh?
When my wife gets here, that's what we want you to do.
Everybody join the
I thought
conversation.
weren't you going back to make coffees? Oh, was she?
Huh?
So your wife ruined it.
What did my wife do?
We were under the impression we were supposed to come back here.
I just said that I thought she would come back here when we were all done. I didn't know it was when you guys were done.
Close-ish, maybe not. We're not done. Sorry. Love you. Alex, where'd you go?
Alex!
Waiting on Alex.
Wait on Alex to
Whoa.
change.
Hello.
Don't touch the microphone, dude. These are not expensive. I can't wait to see what interference we get from that thing. Not near as bad as I thought it was going to be, that's for sure. Really?
The meat is needed.
The meat is needed.
Tyler, get out of my meat.
All right. So, now that we have our explanations out of the way,
You have
Alex?
to wait for me to get the meat in.
I need more yoo-hoo.
Everybody, here's one of our sponsors. It's Blackberry Lemonade.
we don't have any sponsors.
We don't
We have
any
0
sponsors.
sponsors so far, but if you're a Blackberry Lemon and you want to, you're sitting on a tree and you're like, hey, I like Futura. It's a good way to put some money in a fund and send it to Troy, which is how you say his name. That's his name in Greek. I didn't cuss. I dn't say any cuss words here. There was no
You are
cussing.
losing it, sir.
There was no cussing in the making of this.
You are losing
Look
it.
at that. Look at that
Perfect.
meat right there.
All right,
It's
perfect.
beautiful.
So,
Okay, so you want my
I
perspective
would
on
like your interpretation of that rule, please.
In 15 minutes.
that's a tough one.
Yep.
I'm gonna try. I'll try 15.
You're on the clock. It is 9 o'clock on the nose.
Okay, so
Mississippi.
first and foremost, let me just say, not everybody that has the, not everybody that's from a Jewish background is a good person. Like there are, I just had this conversation with like 3 or 4 people this week. There are bad people that are white. There are bad people that are black. There are bad people that are Chinese, Hispanic, Canadian, American, French. Like there's bad people all over the world, right? And my argument isn't that there's actually bad people. That's not my argument. People choose to do bad things,
Yeah.
because of their desire to do the wrong thing, or because they have wants, and so they try to violently take because they think that they're in control, which I think is the big thing. Whether or not the United States should help Israel, God's going to help Israel regardless because God does God things. And one of my favorite rabbis likes to talk about Monopoly a lot. He says the thing for Monopoly.
Really?
Yeah, he does actually. So his argument is that if you're playing Monopoly, you have little hat and little shoe. Little hat and little shoe don't make choices on, the name of Boardwalk. Like little hat rolls up to I don't really like the name Boardwalk. Can we change it to Leo Walk? And like the Monopoly man's like, or Parker Brothers, the creator, they're like, well, little hat, you're just a game piece. You're not the big picture person. Like Parker Bros is the big picture person. And so me as being little hat and little shoe in God's world, I have to do what creator tells me to do. Otherwise I am, little hat, little shoe that wants to change what the board actually says. Like, I don't like Boardwalk. Well, too bad. Nobody asked you what you thought. I don't like
But if God told you to modify the weather.
Sure. different concept. No, I'm kidding. So I think you can use that argument for anything. But whether or not first of all, who is Israel? Israel is God's people, and it's not exhaustive to a particular. Obviously, post Calvary is different from pre Calvary. So let me just say that much. And Paul makes that distinction because there's neither Jew nor Greek, is what he says. And so I don't think there's neither male nor female. At least when it comes to the kingdom, if you're in the kingdom, which means you're spirit and water baptized, then as being in the kingdom, there's neither Jew nor Greek, male nor female, bond nor free. We're all the same, which people actually don't believe. And that's very clear. But when you think about what Israel is and what it is not, my argument is going to be Torah observant Israel is very different from non-Torah observant Israel. So obviously there's a lot of people who have a lot of money that could care less about what the Bible actually says, that could have some Jewish descent. Does that make them bad? Not necessarily because they have a lot of money. It's because they choose to do bad things. And so then you have the other side of that part where you have, the Jewish person that loves the Torah, wants to help, change the world, wants to be a better person, is, completing mitzvot, is seeking tikkun olam in the world. So those tikkun olam is just like bringing the light of the world together, or bringing God's light into the world. That's what tikkun olam means. But anyway, so you have these are two different guys. The one guy doesn't really care. He's not a Torah observant. He's not trying to do God's work in the world. The other guy is actually actively trying to do God's work. And so which one of those is Israel? Well, they're both Israel because they're both born from the land. Here's what the Bible says. If you bless Abraham, you'll be blessed. If you curse Abraham, you'll be cursed. So Abraham's descendants are included in Abraham. And I think at some point it also says Israel. So that would be anybody descendant from Israel. But here's the deal. Unless you're doing a genealogy on every person that you come across, you don't know who's who. So the best case scenario would be, I'm going to bless anyone that's in my way and not going to curse them because I'll be blessed. Because in essence, you can sure break it down to people who live in the land of Israel, they're Israeli, and I'm going to bless them. You can break it down that way. Yeah, absolutely. But like, you don't actually know if that person was born in the U.S. and then moved to Israel. Or if that person was born in China and then moved to Israel. Or if that person was born in Israel and then moved to the U.S. So if I choose and pick and choose who I bless, God chooses and picks and chooses how he blesses me. And so I heard a preacher say one time that God is like a shadow. And as you move, the shadow moves. Obviously, right? The shadow never moves without your movement. Right. So God is the same way. God is the shadow that moves. When you begin to bless, then he blesses you. When you begin to curse, then you become cursed. It's not that God wants to curse humans because like that's not his purpose, right? But you are doing that. And so because you are doing that and you're not following the plan, your little hat and little shoe trying to walk off of your little hat and you're saying, I don't like Monopoly anymore. I really, we've been around this thing like 100 times. I always end up in jail. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm getting off the board. You don't have that choice. you're stuck on the board because Parker Bros said, "Hey, little hat, now you're on the board," right? And so you don't have the choice of getting off the board because then you're just sitting in the box. So you're non-existent. So if you're in God's world and God's the creator of that world, which He is, then you have to abide by the rules of the king. If you choose not to abide by the rules of the king, then you're on the opposite side of the thing. And now we have to figure out where you fit because you want to fit in your own realm and you want to become your own God, which then ultimately tells me exactly where you're at. You want to be your own God. And because you want to be your own God, because you want to be in control, you have now decided what fate everybody else gets versus what fate I get. And so that's the problem we have. It's not, I mean, of course, sure, government is always going to do what government does. The world is always going to do what the world does. As saved apostolic believers, I think it's insane for us to think that the world is going to do something different than what the world always does. So for me being a saved apostolic individual, my expectation of the world, whatever you want to call that, the world, any believer that doesn't believe what we believe, they are going to do whatever the world does. I shouldn't be shocked if I smell somebody smoking weed that doesn't believe in Christ. Right? I shouldn't be shocked for people who drink and drive, right? My expectation should be, how can I positively affect community to ask the right question to get them not to do those things? By saying things like, well, there's brothers and sisters walking around. Your little sister might be out there. Your little brother might be out there. Your mom or your dad might be out there. So that changes the dynamic of what is happening inside of my reaction to, I just want to drink and have a good time. There's nothing wrong with having a good time, and if you drink responsibly, then okay, and now I've become the biggest apostolic, reject because they said drinking was okay.
Alex is endorsing alcohol.
Not. But what I'm saying,
twisted tea.
so what I'm saying is, if you decide to go drink after what I just said, you need prayer. But what I think is, we have to stop looking at people as this person's bad, this person's good. Israel's bad, Hamas is good, or Hamas is bad and Israel is good. There's bad and good on each side. There are people in Hamas, there are people in Palestine that don't want the war, just as much as there is in Israel, and vice versa. And so if we choose to not have that dynamic, and there's always good and bad, then I get to choose what people do, because now I'm placing myself in the posture of the creator. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So
Okay.
much sense. I have $1.
So, I need a favor from you, Alex.
No.
I do. I need you to grab said basket over there and put it over by the door for me.
What basket?
Basket that's over there behind Mr. Tyler Todd.
He's literally.
No, it needs to go to somebody who's outside when you
Okay.
know if they can come get it.
Okay, Tyler, can you? You're being very loud right now.
He can't move. He'll mess up his mic and he'll be buzzing like
You can't grab the basket and hand it to me?
I'm holding the lightsaber. I can't. I'll cut my hand off.
Wow.
So,
Hand me the basket.
I can't.
Tyler, hand me the basket.
hand him the basket, Tyler.
I can't.
Why not?
I don't know how.
It's a basket. Grab it by the handles.
I am. I'm trying.
This is for you anyway.
I'm having time. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
There it is.
Big brain move.
There you go. Good job.
Okay, now
Good.
drop it.
No,
Drop it.
drop it. Don't drop it.
Good job.
Awesome.
Round of applause
Right.
for Alex. Good job.
Woo! All right. So Alex can hear me talking, even though he's standing over by the door.
That's probably a good thing.
Can I just set it outside?
Are they still sitting out there?
Yeah, they're sitting in the car.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
Go walk it out to
they're
him.
gonna come up and get you. Yeah, just go deliver it.
Go deliver it.
Special delivery.
There you go. Good job, Alex.
That is your wife.
Huh?
So there's 3 wives outside,
3 wives. One of which is not yours.
one of which is not mine.
Yours is currently hiding somewhere else.
Probably because she knows that if she brings the dog in, that the dog who periodically makes cameos in our podcast, that he will infect the room with his presence, and he'll probably lay right in between you two.
I wouldn't be
that's what he
upset with
does.
that. Now, if it was his dog coming in here to get between us, we'd have a problem.
This table would be upside down. There'd be lights knocked over everywhere.
You have a bigger dog?
Yes.
Well, Apollo's only like 70 pounds.
I think girth-wise, your dog may be bigger, but height-wise, his is...
Back's probably about there.
Yeah, no, Apollo's not that tall. Apollo's like, probably back is like right there because he sometimes struggles to get on the couch.
Yeah,
So.
he's got that big, thick husky tail.
He did just
that
get-
big, fluffy, like husky tail.
Yeah.
About knock you over with it.
Apollo did just have a major surgery in which now children is not in his future.
Wah,
Poor
wah.
guy.
Snippy,
He's
snippy.
no longer allowed
Poor little
to
guy.
have parties
All right, so
and sing the blues to the midnight blues to the neighborhood dogs.
for our wives' sakes, I guess, since they're all technically waiting on us now.
Now they know how we feel when Alex isn't on the podcast.
Right? I can't find my application that I use to make my notes. There it is. Back to the last one. So, Diddy and Epstein, both of those situations, right there, back to back,
What
seem
an
to have
oily
just been,
situation.
if
Stop.
they fumbled.
It just slipped right out.
No,
It's,
that's not a saying
that
that
is
you say on live TV.
that is exactly what happened, though, and everybody understands.
Yeah, we do.
Because-
unfortunately,
What in the world happened with both of those? Because it looked dead set for
Wow.
sure that Diddy was getting ready to go to prison for the rest of his life.
New York.
That doesn't help.
here's
Most
Diddy
people, but
got
it
away
helped
with crap because of being charged in New York,
the city or the state.
the city.
Yes.
New York City. How do you own a city?
He doesn't own a city, but who runs that city?
The
The heathens, yes.
no. I was gonna say the city owns him.
No, but he doesn't own them. Who runs New York City? Democrats.
Democrats.
Oh, that makes sense now.
A Democrat, I mean, a very
Rudy Giuliani.
Democrat court. No,
Not anymore. That's
no,
been a while.
not for a long time now. So,
Okay, they got a new mayor.
a long
who's the
time
mayor
ago,
now?
dude. I couldn't tell you.
I know Chicago's mayor looks scary.
I know the.
Very scary.
You're talking about ex-mayor, the woman that looks like Beetlejuice, Black Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
She's not mayor anymore.
They said her name
she
3
got
times.
two.
I
But
don't know her name.
but the new guy's not any better.
Well, I mean, you
So,
can't be if you're.
but back to New York City.
I'm not gonna say that out
So,
loud.
it's yes, it
I'm on a
was
roll.
in New York City where he was tried. I do believe that does have a big part of it.
Well, just look how he was placed under confinement. He was never really in jail, I don't believe. He was just under house
Well, let's
arrest.
just be
No, he
honest.
was in Rikers.
Rikers. I
He
thought
was in Rikers.
maybe I'm thinking of another celebrity who was in jail, quote unquote in jail.
Justin
R.
Bieber.
Kelly.
He was actually on Rikers Island, but he was not in general population.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that was what I read then. I just knew he had some special kind of situation where he
Right.
was able to
Special.
be a little bit more padded in his.
Well,
in
I
his
was
long
getting ready to
stay.
say, let's just be honest. Anybody in a Chinese prison or any other prison for that matter,
Chinese. Why are we saying Chinese?
I have a reason.
It's going to take
Okay.
15 more minutes, but he does
The li-
have a reason.
no, it's not. It's not. Anybody in another
So,
in a foreign
You're getting
jail,
loud, so pull that
Sorry.
microphone back just a hair, and I'll continue.
anybody in a foreign prison knows that going to prison in the U.S. is way better because prison in the U.S. you get free food, you get free bedding, you get a free girlfriend, you get a cell phone and contraband, and then the other thing that you get is to work and make money. So
Recess.
there's no difference from the inside of the prison to the outside, except
Oh, there's a
that
difference.
the girlfriend isn't someone that you would typically want to be with.
Sometimes you are the girlfriend,
Correct? Bubba has a thing.
and you're in. Don't drop the soap.
This is not the direction this is supposed to be.
Well, you got
This
when you bring in baby oil in the mix, anything can just
Anything can
slip
happen.
around and happen.
Anything can slip around.
Today's
I
sponsor
regret picking this topic.
is from Johnson's and Johnson's.
Johnson and Johnson is a sponsor.
Yeah, not.
They don't
a
even know
sponsor.
that they sponsored.
We're gonna have a slip and slide after this, guys.
Stop.
No, sir.
This
But
is-
anyway,
That's too far.
He got away with 3 of the 5 charges.
Yep.
What? Well, do we know what the 5 charges were?
We
know oil.
We had RICO. So he had conspiracy. What are you doing? Plugging back in?
My jack is going out.
Shouldn't be going out. It's a brand new box.
Jack.
No, it's not your box. It's my cord.
Oh, that sucks.
Jack Black or Jack Sparrow?
His cord. What's his thing? Is that? Is there a replaceable cord?
Yeah.
We have another one right here on the couch. So let's try that one. I don't know why that's laying right here on the couch, but it is.
For these types of things.
And it's longer, so you ain't got to fight with it as much. Yeah. You can push it back Alex's way. That's the wrong jack, bud. All right, how's that working for you?
It's
better. I hear a
All
buzz. Right. There's a buzz now.
Touch your microphone. There you go. You're good.
Still buzzing.
I apologize once again. These are very cheap microphones.
Still buzzing.
Not really.
Okay, it's gone.
The only charge I can remember was the big one, which is RICO, which is conspiracy.
So
I'm drawing a blank now.
Charge 1, oil.
No.
Use of too much oil.
So basically, he was
without the Bush's permission.
Sex trafficking is what he was being charged for.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
oil,
sex
trafficking.
3 counts that had to do with that, and then a couple other counts that were mainly just prostitution.
And a guy named Rico.
Yep.
No.
2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution.
Okay, so then what did he get?
He got charged for the 2 counts of transport for engaging in prostitution.
Yeah. He got acquitted of sex trafficking, racketeering, and
Did they ever find Rico?
RICO is racketeering.
Oh.
That's what the charge. RICO is conferred as racketeering.
I thought we actually lost a guy named Rico.
No, we did not lose a guy named Rico.
Okay, well, sorry for all the Ricos out there.
Yeah, anyway. But yeah, somehow he got away with that. And then now we have Mr. Jeffrey Epstein.
The list that was a list that wasn't a list that became a hoax of a list that Obama and Hillary created to now Trump Musk called it.
Yep.
Trump, his name was in the list, but wasn't in the list, but now it is in the list.
But there may be a list again now.
There's more than just a list.
I mean,
recently, there was a list in May.
This is a whole big. This is not the list you're looking for kind of thing going on in my mind. Mm-hmm. They're trying to make it out such a obscure thing that no one believes it exists anymore.
Yeah. It ain't going anywhere though.
But it has to do with there's somebody on the list that they don't want everyone to know is on there.
So here's my 2 trains of thoughts
Rico.
with this. Okay.
All right.
Rico's on the list.
So either the more common idea is, President Trump's name is on the list, and he is a very, very, very bad man. Okay, so that's the first one because there is some congressmen and
Are we talking about the president of the United States?
Yes.
Todd. Yes. So there's some evidence that Trump. There's a birthday card that he wrote to Jeffrey Epstein, and there is a birthday book that Jeffrey Epstein kept from all his parties and things that kept records of, not really records, I guess like celebrities and people would write in or something, and they're trying to subpoena that book, and they're trying to subpoena the jury notes or something that came from a trial.
Right, but so the big issue is the jury notes themselves have been sealed under court order stating that they're never supposed to ever be made public.
Problem.
Yeah. So the other train of thought that I have with this is it's really not the bad that you think it is, but the fact of the matter is that if Trump's name is on it in any shape or form, then it's going to be really heavily politicized. So that means they're going to throw that in his face in everywhere which way.
I think that's absurd. I would never believe that.
That would be preposterous.
Trump being in the news and being politically assassinated? Come on.
But that's what I'm saying. So
it's impossible.
It's a lose-lose no matter which way.
Physically assassinate him. So
I mean, they've already impeached the man once. In his first term, they impeached him. So
I guess that's true.
they're not looking to knock out any home runs here. He can't run again. But, I mean, obviously, they got to attack him somehow. So that's why this is becoming such a big thing. It's whether his name is really in there for the wrong reasons or he's just loosely associated with Jeffrey Epstein, because there's video, there's pictures that shows more and more activity that he's had with him, but he's just loosely associated with because you got two rich guys. No one knows what they're doing in each other's closets.
Right, because rich guys don't rub shoulders with other rich guys. I mean, why would they?
Well, right. So that's what I'm saying. It's a way to throw mud. That's why the Democrats are trying to use it, because midterm elections are coming
Midterm collections are up.
Well,
Pay up.
That is almost the correct way to say it, is midterm collections. Tyler, you're humming and buzzing.
He's a really buzzy.
buzzing.
He's a
There you
really
go, you're
buzzy guy.
We'll definitely need better microphones or some way to ground these or something before the next time if we ever use these again. These may be a one and done kind of thing. You never know.
I would not be surprised if so. I may or may not have said this on the podcast before, but I think Trump has one goal, or maybe not Trump having one goal, but like the goal and the reason why DT is in office is for temple building, and that's pretty much going to be the only thing.
There are
that's my argument.
There are other things that people are talking about currently that would align with that thought process.
Sure.
As of he just also recently here the last couple of weeks ago signed a bill that people are stating is the precursor necessary to mandate digital ID for everyone on the planet. I don't know the exact actual bill, but it has something to do with the cryptocurrencies and all the blockchain and how they're going to pull that into the government, and then we're going to use that as a commodity now. Yeah. It's going to be like gold and all those things. It's going to be a commodity that the government is going to keep, but it has to do somehow in that also it sets up a ID for every single person that uses it.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say this personally, and I don't know a whole lot, and it really probably depends on who you ask how much I do know, because most people don't think I know very much, but that's beside the point. Anyway, I would argue that within the next year, and I think I've been arguing this for, I don't know, the last 6 months or so, but for the next year, we're probably going to see quite a bit of shaking, just not in the U.S., but globally.
Yes.
And not only that, there have been multiple posts that Temple Institute, other Israeli influencers, other Israeli parties are putting out there of saying we are ready to burn the heifers,
right? Which
is step uno in the grand step of temple building.
It also seems like they've taken the non-kosher and have used those for practice.
Absolutely,
is what posted I've seen.
And
they went ahead and they've practiced sacrificing those, so that they are, when the time comes to do the real thing, they're ready and they can do it without any issues.
Yeah. So I think that that's essentially why DT's there, because he's the only guy that, one, I think there's like 1,000 other guys that could do it better than him, but he's the one guy that has the money. And this is also probably why there's a lot of hate towards him, because he's so pro-Israeli.
Right.
And the rest of the world doesn't really want this because, again, the world does what the world does. So that's my estimation. But, I mean, once his presidential reign ends, I don't know what the U.S. looks like.
Right.
Which is scary, but it could be a good thing, but it may not be a great thing.
I mean, it could be we could stay the course.
Yeah.
Or there's going to be a large swing in the other direction. Gavin Newsom, I've shared a few different things with you guys over the last couple months, where he himself is trying to put himself as I am a center.
Yeah,
I'm in the middle of the road. I'm moderate.
Yeah.
He states, I am a moderate governor of a far left state, is what he actually says.
Sure.
He says his personal beliefs don't do that, and that's why he says a lot of the times with those policies that are that far left, he puts it on the ballot during elections, so that those policies are directly put into law by the people of the state. And if it doesn't pass, it's not him that put it down; it's the people of the state that put it down.
Yeah, well, I mean, it should be. Essentially, the people should be voting for what they want because it's for the people, by the people. But
Right.
that doesn't necessarily make it right.
Yeah.
Because if the mass collection of people say, well, we want abortion, abortion isn't wrong because people agree with it or disagree with it. Abortion is wrong because it's not biblically right.
Right.
And so, if the Bible says this is wrong, then the Creator, now we're back to the, Parker Brothers situation, right? Like,
Right.
He said it was wrong, so that's why it's wrong. It's not wrong because I said it was wrong. It's because the book said it was wrong, and I'm just following the book.
Right.
But anyway, I digress.
I mean, it's
What about changing dress?
Exactly. That's my point. We can still hear you.
Yep. Well, hopefully it's not as loud as me going straight into it.
I think you ought to try it once. See what happens. Yeah, that was pretty good. It's just COVID. That's all. It's not
COVID. I have been tested, sir. Thank you very much.
It's not as big of a deal. So we're all gonna.
He's
die.
not crazy. He's been tested.
Exactly.
I beg to differ.
I can also see that side of it. But
so I let me just say, going back to P. Diddy, and so Mr. Oil and Mr. Epstein, pawns in the greater scheme. Because if we're being honest, and I've said this to a couple of guys this last week talking to them, we are moving towards the end of the age, not away from the end of the age.
Right.
And so, granted, I know there are ministers in the apostolic movement that are preaching greater things to come for the church, possibly. For the world, that's a negative, Ghost Rider. We're getting worse. And so for the entire world to be shocked, first of all, let's just, again, the world is the world. For the entire world to be shocked that there are oiled up parties happening behind closed doors with millionaires, like, let's just be honest. Hollywood's been very open about what they do. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what naked people do in a room together. Yeah. In case you're wondering. I mean, you can only imagine, right?
I don't want to imagine, Alex.
Correct. So, like, it's not a big secret. And then the other thing, I actually wanted to say the same thing last time we talked, and then I'll end it here. If I get invited, what happened?
we got a chat message on here. You keep going. I'm gonna try to figure out what this is.
If I get invited to a party, and it's a risque party.
Risky.
There's two people involved in the invite. It's the invitee, which could be somebody. What did they say? Anyway, I can't read it from my vantage point.
That's your
the
wife's-
only time your wife ever tunes into the
What did she say?
podcast
Oh, dear
just
God.
to find out there's a blanket over her window.
I told you to take it down. I told you it was not going to fly away.
It will come
She's
down
not
here
going to
in a
have. She's not going to be happy.
Elizabeth,
That was
promise
not my
We will
idea.
put your living room back how we found it.
That was not my
No,
idea.
we will not. I'm leaving after this.
So, okay, back to my thing. If the invitee is the person that's in, okay, or the inviter, whatever. Okay, the inviter. Sorry, the inviter.
The host.
Yeah, the host. That's person number one. Especially if they're already having a risky party, they're issue number one, right? If I get an invite, I don't have to appear. And so there have been people that have said, well, there's just a certain time you leave these parties. You went anyway. So that makes you an accomplice because you know what's going on. And you know, I don't care how good you are. If you know, like there have been some Christian rappers that have said this. If you know that there are bad things going on after you decide to take off, you're an enabler because then you know there's bad. You should be saying, "Hey, don't do these things." You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't
And-
use baby oil.
Wow.
Use baby powder.
Okay, just boom.
Yeah.
I think that it's more than just Diddy's fault. Who's showing up to these parties, and why aren't they standing? And maybe they are. I don't know, but why aren't they saying something to him? I'm not going to keep coming to your parties if this is what you're doing afterward.
Because he has
Yes.
stuff on them.
What? No, I know that. I'm talking about people he doesn't have stuff on. I'm talking about some of these Christian. There's Christian people,
Because they
people
want
who
to get in.
profess to be Christ-like, and they're going to a P. Diddy party. Problem.
Because they want to be a part.
I know that, and it's about the money, right? It's always about the money.
The Benjamins.
So
Or
the thing
Washingtons.
is, if you are right,
Or the Abraham Lincoln.
you know when the invite comes across, and Jerome and I have talked about this. When the invite comes across, some people felt obliged to go because you're networking, so to speak, and you don't necessarily have to stay the whole time to be networking, but and then they make the offer, and sometimes the offer is hard to refuse because Jerome actually told me this. When they offer you this stuff, it's like, I'm going to offer you the amount of money to get you, your family, your best friend, their best friend out of the poverty and elevate this, but you got to do something dirty, and I'm going to tape it. Essentially, that's like what they're doing. Now, exactly. But you have you still have the choice. And so the choice is this the right thing? Obviously not. So there's napkins over there. If I'm invited, these are the scenarios. If I'm not going, then I stay not mainstream, and I'm not. And there has to be somebody out there that's gotten a P. Diddy invite, oil invite, I guess as you could call it. And they were like, you know what? I'm not going to do that.
The invitation was slightly damp.
Slightly slippery, a slippery invite. So I think, you have to make that choice. But it's not just his fault because you have the choice. And that's the thing. Sin does a couple of things. It gives you the option. And so if nobody knows, it's still sin because God knows. And so the bigger picture is God's watching you all the time. You know what I mean?
Always watching.
So if you're that person, then don't do that. I mean, I know it's difficult. I know you want to get ahead in life, but that's the two parts me, one part God. If God wants me to be a millionaire, he's going to place me in the place of a millionaire. If he wants me to be who he is, who he's created me to be, then I'm going to be who I'm created to be, and I'm not going to be that millionaire. And am I okay with that is the big question. Am I okay with not being a millionaire? Am I okay with being a locator that works at, a nationwide company that, uses some other methods besides GPR to find the unseen?
The unseen.
The unseen. Anyway, I think it's more than just one person's fault, and a lot of people are placing blame on one guy.
Well, you know what is
and his buddy Rico
beating up women.
True, but P. Diddy and his friend Rico, they're the ones at fault here.
Right.
And so because it's their fault, right? Well, Rico's the one sending out these invites. You don't have to obey
the other
Rico.
thing is, you're going all the way down this rabbit hole about the parties themselves, but why is certain things right now being pushed into the media like they are?
Oh yeah.
Their timing of these things coming out always needs to be investigated.
Sure.
And that's something I always forget to do, is to look at the logs and see what else is being done at this point in time.
Yeah.
Because just like the other day when they started pushing the Epstein list stuff real hard, how it's a hoax, that's when they passed this whole cryptocurrency bill in the middle of the night.
Oh, yeah.
After all that was out.
That's why I made that
it's
comment
the sleight
before.
of hand.
It was like, oh, God help us, because if they're making this big old push with the Epstein stuff, what things are going to come after, like, going to, cause distraction from it, or what's being done behind closed doors?
I'm slightly in a great position right now because I may not go to work on Monday, or I might end up still going to work on Monday, just not feeling well. I'm slightly in a decent position.
I was feeling great.
I'm in a position I'd rather not be.
All you
But the
do-
cream rises to the top.
Way to go, Tyler.
Michael,
Way to go.
They ask for free. All you gotta do is sit in the podcast.
Yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
It's probably not.
You
a
don't
good
name
idea.
him by name, but
And this guy was on my couch just profusely coughing in different languages at me.
different languages. Yeah. But
Tongues and interpretation.
as we can probably go on with this for hours,
Absolutely.
10 hours.
we need to adjourn this meeting. I
Wrap
believe,
it up and get that
because-
thing off my window before my wife has a conundrum.
well, 'cause she's already. That's the only comment we have on the live stream so far.
We're doing awesome. We're so cool. Hey,
Is the fact that
hey
that's
guys,
our
we're
window.
really cool. When my wife comments and says, "Get that thing off my window.
She just asked why it's on her window.
Get that thing
And
out of here
I
right
personally
now."
messaged her to let her know why it's on her window. And
It's to
if
block out
she's
the
if
haters.
she's still watching, let her know I did it, not Alex.
She doesn't
All
care.
right.
That's
I
irrelevant.
stood on your couch.
It's just the whole
And
like
put
the
that in
Diddy
the window.
thing. Just because he was here, he's an
It's my
accomplice.
fault. It's my fault.
He should have said no.
Hey,
He said, "Hey guys,
Al-
Technically, he
listen.
did say no.
Alex was in the kitchen
I
doing
looked
dishes
at
like
it.
he was supposed to be doing. We showed up, and he's like, "You guys aren't supposed to be here for a while." I was like,
True.
"Listen, we got a lot of stuff to do."
you
And-
see this carpet? Yeah, it ain't gonna be here anymore. It's gonna be covered."
Okay, don't say
had-
that.
we had to-
Because now she's going to think the carpet's been removed.
We had
That's-
to rearrange the living room.
That's not.
It's been stained.
This is no
Cover the
bueno.
curtains.
You thought a Diddy party was crazy.
Stop. It's time to stop. It's time not to do that. Whatever
Yeah,
that is,
Then I brought out the Nutty Butters.
stop it.
But no, it's been fun. I'm glad we got together to do this.
Yeah, we should do it again.
We should.
I think we should have a different setup, though.
yeah,
Because
next
I
time.
have to look that
Sure.
way to talk to
You
you.
didn't have to look at us.
You didn't
also,
look at the camera
You also
at
had
all.
the choice to sit right here. And
Right
chose
there.
Not
You
to.
could be right here.
Well,
the
when I
middle.
talk to somebody, I'd rather see them face to face.
But what?
Because
Why
then
weren't
it's
you
not
looking at me?
intentional conversation.
Why'd you only look at me?
I don't
for?
like looking at you.
But you did.
Okay, we're live. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well,
Why does that matter?
I apologize.
we also have wives and children waiting in cars and that
Very
kind of
true,
things,
very true,
driving
very true.
around town. So
I'm going to dip out as soon as
Yep.
we end,
it's been fun. So
even though it's my house.
it's your own house. You have a couple of your own things you have to put away.
No,
Yes,
maybe.
Tyler. The show's over.
He just wants to show
Oh,
off.
anyway,
With his
but yep,
buzzer.
it's been a lot of fun. It was we'll do this again sometime. Hopefully, we can have better equipment.
At 200
Or worse
episodes, we'll
equipment.
be back.
Back, yeah, we'll come back to this as the 200th episode in about 3.5 years. So, thank you, everybody. Have a
Wow.
good night.
Mr. Wizard and his sword.
Thank you
His
very
light,
much.
his light sword.